Hey guys, today we're going to set up an IP camera with Lumeo. Since there are a few different scenarios where you could be setting up your camera either on your home network or off your home network, I will go over each individually. For this demo, I will be using an Amcrest 4MP, but any IP camera should work just fine. Let's begin. First, you will need to plug in the camera, and after it's plugged in, then you will need to set it up on your network. For Amcrest cameras, I would recommend downloading the Amcrest View Pro app, then heading to Device Manager and clicking on Add New Device, then Wi-Fi Camera, then Wi-Fi Configuration. After that, scan the serial number on the bottom of the camera and create a name for the camera as well as a username and password. I would be careful about using special characters in the password as it may cause problems in the future if you do want to create an RTSP stream using your camera in the future.
Next, you will need to enter the Wi-Fi password, and the setup for your Amcrest camera should be complete. Keep in mind, this setup is only for the Amcrest and will vary with other IP cameras.
After your camera is set up, find the IP address of your camera. For Amcrest, this would be using the IP config tool. You'd have to download whichever version you have, Windows or Mac, head in and download it, pop it open. Then let's go through the terms of service, install it. It should just take a second, and then from there you'll need to log in using your login information that you created online. So if we just pop this open, you'd have to log in here, and then you'd be able to see both of your cameras. And now you can also see the IP address here, and you'll need the port for the camera specifically, which is going to be the HTTP port. So now let's just head back into the web browser, type in the HTTP port along with the port number for your camera, enter that in, and let's log in. Same as before. And now you guys should be able to see me through the Amcrest. Before we move on, make sure that your camera is OnVIF enabled. For Amcrest, this would be in the setup, head over to network, and then connection, and then OnVIF. Make sure that this is enabled as it makes it significantly easier to discover your camera on your home network. Now that our camera is set up, let's move into the first scenario, setting up a camera on your home network. These steps will only work if you have the camera on your home network as well as the gateway you're using on your home network. The gateway can't be a Lumeo cloud gateway or a gateway on somebody else's network. Otherwise, you'll have to move into the other steps that I'll provide in this video. First, let's head over to the Deploy tab, and this is a gateway that I have running on my network, a NVIDIA Jetson NCX1, which I show people how to set up as it is a Lumeo ready gateway. I'll link the video in the description. But first you're going to head over and click on it, then click Add Camera, and you'll be able to see here that any OnVIF or USB connected cameras will be able to see this gateway. So it's just discovering all cameras that it can access. Now that the gateway has found the camera, we are going to click on the Amcrest camera and press Link Selected Camera, and then we're going to need to type in the username as well as the password that we've been using throughout this tutorial. And it should just take a second, and now it is linked. If we click on here, we should be able to see in just a few moments a preview, and then see if we can link directly into the camera itself. Now you guys can see me. How's it going? If you're not able to find your camera on your home network and you're not able to add it manually, it's likely not OnVIF compliant. So we're going to move on to scenario 2, which is setting up a camera outside your home network. This is going to require creating an RTSP or HTTPS stream. To create a stream like this, you will need to perform port forwarding. These steps may vary between internet providers, so I'd recommend looking into port forwarding for your specific internet provider. My provider is Spectrum, so I'll be able to take you guys through the steps of how to create a port for your camera through Spectrum. First, let's log in. And then after you get in, you can see that you have the services on the right-hand side. Not a ton of this stuff matters. Just make sure you're able to find where your different networking equipment is at, and you'll need to access your router. And then from there, you're going to want to click on the port forwarding.
After you click on the port forwarding, you want to create an IP reservation. You can see all the different devices that are on my network connected to my router, but we're going to be looking specifically for the camera, which I've already reserved an IP for. And then from there, you're going to want to add a port assignment. And you can name this anything. Let's go with Lumeo test port. And for external ports, this is for cameras is usually 8554, and then for internal ports, that's usually 554. So we're just going to go with 8554 and 554. And you'll notice that the external port actually has to be different. That's because one of my ports is already being used as that. So we're going to say 8555. Let's say that. And then from there, we'll save it. And it might take a second for your router to update. So wait a couple minutes and then you should be able to access it in the next part. Now, after you've created a port for your camera, head into the camera setup document. The link is in the description for our RTSP generator. So you're going to want to scroll down, and there's a lot of documentation in here. So if you guys have any questions, I would reference this and then find your manufacturer. For me, this is going to be the Amcrest, and then IP4M, and let's go with the 1051. From there, and then you click on one of these. As you can see, you can either insert your public or your private IP address. Lumeo already fills the public IP address in the RTSP generator, and then you also need to pick that port that you selected from before. So because I'm accessing a camera on my network, I'm going to be using the private IP address that you're able to see in the Spectrum site, or you'd be able to use your public IP address if you're accessing it off the internet and use the external port as your port. So we're going to change this to that port that we saw before. And then we're also going to change the internal port to be the regular camera port, which is going to be 554. So after you generate the URL, you can see it right here. And you'll just need to copy that over, and we'll head back to Lumio console. Now that we're back in console, we're going to want to head over to the deploy tab and head into streams. We're going to add an input stream. Copy over that RTSP link from before. And since we have a username and a password for our camera, we're going to need to head in to our link and augment it to include the username and the password so that it authenticates. So I'm going to put in my username and then put colon, the password, and then put the @ symbol in between the IP address and the password. And the rest of this should be correct. And we can just save it. Now, after a few minutes, you should be able to see a preview for the camera stream. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or trouble, please reference the documentation in the description. And if you'd like to learn more about AI video analytics and the Lumeo platform, click on the videos on the screen. Have a good one.